is your favorite Bboyshow.
Servus, grüezi und grüß euch. Welcome not to the best, no, your favorite podcast with your favorite Bieber host. And my guest this time all the way from the USA, and she will be in Paris, one of the Olympic dancers. Please make some noise and welcome Bgirl Sunny. Woo. Hello, Sunny.
Nice
What's up? What's up?
I don't know, nothing. Excited. This will be fun.
Good. Yes, I'm excited too. This podcast is a long time in the making because I already contacted you last year in the summer,
Yeah.
before the Olympics, before everybody wanted you. Yeah, I wanted the podcast back then, but now I'm glad we could have made it. We could have made it. And hey, a busy year. How was your year? Tell us a little bit about it. How you feel after 2023?
How do I feel? I mean, I think honestly, I'm not yet excited. It's more like there's a lot of work ahead. So I think I'm actually more nervous about that than I am excited for the Olympics.
Mm.
2023 was crazy. Like, I didn't anticipate how much traveling we would be doing and how
Oh, it's crazy.
stressful
Yeah.
that would be.
Mm-hmm.
And like especially for the Americans, like we were going to Europe and Asia constantly. So
Oh.
it's not like they were short flights for us. So it was
Mm.
pretty challenging, especially with not just the long flight, but also the time differences that we were going through and then just going back and forth. And
Yeah.
it was also quite so I think, I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't realize how mentally challenging the whole year was going to be. And then I quit my job in January, so I went through like a pretty big life change in the beginning of the year, and
I
then
see.
switching over time. My head was just so used to having this routine, and then all of a sudden I was like on this like every day of the week is like, I don't know, I was mixing up Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I had no idea what day it was or what
Oh,
time it
okay. That's
was.
not cool.
It became a blur. But I mean, it was overall like a really cool experience. I got to see so many places. I got to meet so many people, hang out with new people, reconnect with old. Um, and then I think just, qualifying for the Olympics was huge, and that's exciting. So it
So
was a good year, crazy,
what was
but good.
what was the job you quit in January?
So I was a director of global creative operations at Estee Lauder.
Okay.
Yeah, very corporate job.
Okay.
And I was working really long hours trying to dance at the same time. So it just wasn't possible for me to continue that
Yeah, I see.
lifestyle.
I see. So we're now in 2024. This is how many years you've been in the game now?
Let's see, I started like end of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, 17 years?
Then can you remember your first moment where you got to know hip hop or breaking?
Uh, First moment. Well, so growing up in Kentucky, I used to listen to like Dirty South music, Dirty South rap. So like
Okay.
I listened to music, but I wasn't really introduced to music till pretty late, and I wasn't like super into it at the time. So like I guess that was my first introduction to hip hop, but uh at the time it was just like, it's just music. You play it in the car when you're driving, so you're not bored, or if you're angry, you play something. Um and then actually my little brother started breaking in high school, and
Okay.
there was only like five b-boys in Louisville, Kentucky, in the whole city, and they all were in one school club, and they would stay after school, and I would pick them up from this club, and they would be trying windmills, and just to me it looked like they were just rolling on the floor, because I was a gymnast at the time. I wasn't very impressed,
I
I was,
see.
what are you doing? Like what are you even trying to do? It doesn't look cool. And so that was actually my first introduction to breaking. And then I remember he used to show me videos of people doing like air flares and stuff like that. But because I was so into gymnastics at the time, I didn't care.
So when did you start with
So
gymnastics?
I started gymnastics when I was 3. Funny enough,
Ooh.
I saw the Olympics when I was 3. And then I told my mom I wanted to win gold at the Olympics, and I begged her she said for an entire month when I was 3 years old, I begged her to put me in gymnastics so that I can win a
And
gold medal at the Olympics.
who thought it won't be in gymnastics, but it will be in breaking, huh?
I
Crazy.
know nobody. There's no way anybody could have.
Crazy. Crazy. So
Yeah.
continue with the breaking story. After you picked him up, you got interested in it, or it took a longer time for you to be interested in breaking?
No, actually, at the time when he was breaking, I didn't care. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's weird. Just rolling on the floor looks kind of silly. When I got to college, I was walking around one night. I was definitely drunk. There's, early days in college, you're just out partying. And I was walking past this, like, we have this, smooth concrete in the middle of the campus at Penn,
Mm-hmm.
and the Penn breaking club was dancing on that. And I kind of stopped to watch for a little bit. And then they were like, hey, we teach a popping class on, I don't remember, I think it was Fridays. Do you want to come? And I was like, sure. So I went and I actually took this popping class, and I was not very good at it. But they found out I was a gymnast. So they're like, oh, you should try this, try to spin on your hand. And I was like, kind of like, oh, this is fun, because I quit gymnastics, I think my senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little lost, but I missed being upside down. I missed that, like, the adrenaline that you get when you're flying.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying, like, seeing them break and then trying it, I was like, oh, I think this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually when I started breaking and got hooked.
Mm-hmm. So you immediately were had more talent in like freezes and flips and blow ups, power moves, or what was the first thing that got you interested? What type of moves in breaking?
Well, what initially got me hooked actually was, yeah, being upside down.
Mm-hmm.
But actually the first couple years of my breaking, it took me like years to learn a windmill, and then many years also to learn a flare. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't actually very quick at
Mm-hmm.
learning those moves for some reason. Um, but like on my hands it was easy.
Yeah.
But what really got me hooked was actually doing footwork. And I
Ah,
think part of
cool.
that was because I'm a pretty shy, or I used to be a very shy person. And so I would just sit in the corner and like watch everybody else dance, and I was too scared to actually join in. But when you do footwork, like, I could just stare at the floor and be in my own world, but be creative with it. And it was something so new to me, because in gymnastics you always do the same thing every
Yes.
single day, hundreds
Yes.
of times. In breaking, it's like you can change it and do whatever you want. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that was like so new and so interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to just like do footwork all the time and just come
Mm-hmm.
up with like tech and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I did some power because I was good at it, but I wasn't as interested in it initially. Initially, I actually just really liked doing
Yeah.
footwork.
Well, and
And I
what
hated.
in I wanted to ask, in gymnastic, is it allowed to be original, or everybody has to have the standard moves and execute, and then the judges look who executes them the best?
It's more like the second one. There are people who have some unique movements, but there's risk with that, because you don't know if the judges are going to give you like a high,
Ah, okay.
like how they're going to get in terms
Mm-hmm.
of difficulty and how much you'll actually get for it. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's no like real score, or it doesn't account for creativity.
Oh, okay, I see.
It could add to like what they kind of consider like artistry, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you get extra points for doing something
Yeah.
unique. So
Yeah.
most people kind of stick to what
Yes.
everyone else does, and it's
Mm-hmm.
about executing perfect.
Yes, I see. After over 10, 15 years only doing the same things, and now you're in breaking and you don't have to, you can just be totally free. I guess everybody would be hooked then.
Yeah, I mean, initially though, it was hard for me because I was so shy. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't look up when I was doing footwork. I couldn't look at
Mm-hmm.
somebody, and I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
dance in front of anybody. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you would definitely not catch me in a cipher. I
Yep.
would be standing in the back, and like not even the first row in the cipher, the one, when you stand behind someone so that nobody can call you out, you're, like, a little bit further away. I was that person. And if somebody pushed me in the cipher, I would run back away because I was like too scared to enter. So I was
Ah,
like that for so many years.
you remember when
I
you
was too
entered,
shy.
well, you remember when you first time entered the cipher by yourself without anybody pushing you?
I don't remember. I remember though, like, so in Philly, where I started dancing, there was this event called The Gathering, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like a local community event where it was like writers, MCs, dancers, just like everybody kind of got together. The B-boys would be breaking. There would be usually like a rap battle or some sort of, some sort of showcase, and then there'd be some writers there and like a little wall, and it was like a very dark room. And I remember that was for me one of the like scariest places to go and then like enter a cipher, because it just felt like the energy was so dope in there, and I was like, I can't participate in this, like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And but I do remember entering those ciphers sometimes in the beginning, mostly because somebody would make me, and then afterwards I was trying on my own and
Mm-hmm.
being super 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 scared, but just forcing myself to do it, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that this is something I wanted to do. And I didn't want my fear, this fear, to be what held me back from doing something that I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah, because you will
So
not
I just kept,
regret it. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
so
So
who
I
who were your mentors in the beginning? There were some big girls or b-boys you looked up to, or even teach you things.
Yeah, well, so because I started in a college club, we had like one or two B-boys every year who would come and just teach us basics.
Ah, okay,
So like for like Joe Sun, who is in Concrete All Stars or a Little
okay.
Flav, I think. He came and like he taught us like just like, the simple like shuffles and six step and three step,
Was
and
good
then
money.
metal also.
Was good, nice money for him.
Probably. Actually, I don't think we had much budget, so I don't even think we paid
Ah,
that well.
okay, okay.
But he came through metal from Reptiles, also taught us. I actually remember his class because the way that he was teaching CCs was very specific. But yeah, so like we took a few classes, but then we just went to practice, and some people might teach me something, or I would just learn.
Okay.
So there was no one mentor or one teacher. It was really just going
Mm-hmm.
and figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a girl I looked up to who was in our breaking club. Her name was Ria, and just the way she danced was super
Mm-hmm.
super dope.
Mm-hmm.
She was really confident. She was shorter than I am, but when she
Okay.
went out on the floor, she took up so much space. Her
Yeah.
energy was so big,
Yeah.
and so I really admired that. And I was like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
be like that one day. You know,
Mm-hmm. Ah,
so
nice. And
yeah.
any famous b-boys or b-girls you saw in the internet in the big battles that was back then?
Um, I didn't really start watching. Well, actually, still today, I don't really watch much footage.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Uh, there was a couple people who, at that time, actually, even though I did a lot of footwork, I really appreciated B-girls who were really pushing it physically.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I really loved, there was a girl, B-girl Taya, I think, who
From
had like
Finland.
yeah. And I know she wasn't doing power, but the way she did her footwork was so swift and clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there weren't that many B-girls who were moving like her at the time. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
she was really dope. I thought movie one, nasty how she integrated everything
Mm-hmm.
together, including power at the time. Later on, I really thought Narumi was dope too. I loved her energy and how
Yes, yes,
unique she
yes.
was. There was a time I was watching AT because her footwork flow was really nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, who else was I really watching? But yeah, I honestly I didn't watch much footage, and I
Mm-hmm.
still today don't watch much footage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really want to be influenced by what other people are doing. I want to make sure my movements feel right
To
for
have,
me.
yes, yes, yes.
No matter what you do, you can't get rid of the images you have in your head of what
Of
you want to
course,
look like if you're watching too much footage, you know?
it will
Uh,
influence you for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
wanted to avoid that basically at all costs because I wanted to make sure I move the way that felt right for me.
Mm-hmm. So when did you start competing? When did you realize, hey, I have now a lot of moves. Now I can enter. Now I can beat other people. When did that happen to you?
Um, well, so I think I entered my first battle maybe about a year and a half, 2 years into breaking.
Okay.
Um, and it was like my friends were making me enter. I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only two. who entered. It was kind of crazy. And I pulled my name out and they were like, no, can you please battle because there's only one other B girl. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. Uh, and so I just started battling, with friends or, sometimes people would just be like, just do it, just do it. So I would go and do it. And I hated it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't watch my footage afterwards because I was so embarrassed. It I didn't really ever enter battles because I was good and I was beating people. It was more like I need to keep pushing myself to
Okay.
get over this fear, because I don't want this to be the reason to stop me from doing anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
clearly this is a skill that can help me anywhere in life, right? So like if I can defeat it here, then maybe I can take it elsewhere. But
Yeah.
it's just like I couldn't be defeated by this thing that wasn't even tangible. It's just myself,
Mm-hmm.
my own
Mm-hmm.
fears.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm the only one stopping myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I just kept doing it. And then I just, started winning some battles here and there, beating people that were kind of surprises. Also, at the time, there weren't a ton of B girls in the US. I mean, there still aren't. And so being a B girl and then representing as a woman and then beating the guys, it started becoming this thing where I was like, I had some pride in it because I'm
Yeah.
representing and showing people. Um, and so yeah, it's just like a lot of things, I guess, kind of came together and I just kept going. And I never battled to be the best. I
Mm-hmm.
battled to not to be the best in terms of like I never compare myself to other people. It's more like just being the best me
Mm-hmm.
and kind of getting people that I want to, knowing that battling helps me get there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Also, for me personally, I love battling, and I think if you don't like to battle, okay, then it's not for you. But I think personally, everybody who practices should also battle. It's like when you play basketball, you practice all the time, but you never play a real game. So, you know, so I think it's very important to battle, uh, just because you practice all the time, and I think in the battle you get the best feedback
yeah,
because
yeah,
in
yeah,
in
yeah. And
in practice it's.
yeah, today I love battling,
Mhm.
but it took me, I don't know, 10, 15 years to get to the point where I actually enjoyed it.
Mhm, mhm,
Because
mhm,
today actually when I battle, I get into this zone that I cannot get into in other parts of my
mhm,
life, basically. Like sometimes here and there you can, but it's like I get
mhm.
into this zone and it's almost like you lose awareness, but at the same time, you become the most authentic self that you possibly can. And then that's all that matters. Nothing else matters in that moment other than just being you.
Yes,
And it's like you feel so
definitely.
free when you're doing it. And it actually probably took me a whole like 15, like basically my entire breaking career to get to this point.
Yeah.
But there's something so freeing about being able to just be you for that couple
Mhm,
seconds. Nothing else in the world matters. And it's just like that moment is so precious. So I actually really enjoy it now. But
mhm.
before I did not.
Yeah, you need to learn to love it. Yes.
Yeah.
So we talked about your year, and like we said, you are qualified for the Olympics this year in Paris, 2024. So when you heard about the Olympics, you immediately wanted to be there because you promised you wanted. No?
No, actually, it took me a long time to decide.
Ah,
Um,
somebody convinced you?
No, I convinced myself.
Okay.
It was one of those things where again I'm stopping myself. So like my whole life I did everything I was like supposed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I got good grades, I took difficult classes, I went to a good college, I was working full time, so I was financially stable, and I did everything that like socially, culturally was like responsible. And so going to the Olympics for breaking doesn't fit into that
Yes.
equation. I mean, just breaking in general full time doesn't fit into
Mm-hmm.
that mold that I had kind of created for myself, or that
Also,
people create.
you still had the regular job, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I knew if I wanted to go for the Olympics that one, I wasn't gonna do it half-ass, right? I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
do it 100%. The only way to
Mm-hmm.
do that is quit my job, change my whole entire life, and do this full time. And then the question was, is this actually possible for me financially? Is this responsible? So, and on top of that, like I'm not particularly young, and I was like, that also means I have to wait if I wanted to have a family or even consider it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, am I okay with putting that off a couple of years? So I had all these excuses as to why this was a really bad idea. And then I kind of was digging deep and I was like, okay, what is it really? And I think what I realized is it's more like I was scared of failing
Okay.
because I know myself. I know I can make things work. I know I'm resourceful. I know I work hard. So it's like I can make it work, I think, if I wanted it. But the
Mm-hmm.
question was, do I want it? And then why do I not want it? And it really was, I didn't want to fail publicly. What if I
Mm-hmm.
don't make it? And I
Yeah.
quit my job and I do all of this and then
Yes.
it amounts to nothing, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think that was more of the reason why it took me so long.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was these little fake reasons, and then it was really just, no, it was because I was
Mm-hmm.
scared.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was again just like me not entering a cipher. It's like, well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna let myself stop myself from doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I made plans to quit my job. Obviously, like I made a financial plan for myself.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
so because I knew that 2023 was gonna be expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
I started saving some money and then making sure like financially I kept my job for a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I
Mm-hmm.
made sure, that I had enough money to get myself through 2023, even if I had no sponsors.
And there are still
So I just,
bills waiting, yeah.
yeah, I mean, so then there's also 2024. Luckily now I do have sponsors and I was kind of banking on at least one to come through. But
Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, I made sure, I started planning how I was gonna do this, making sure I was ready for it. And then I quit my job and I said, all right, I'm doing this full time and I'm gonna go for the Olympics. But yeah, it took me like it wasn't until maybe like May or June of last year, or oh sorry, of 2022
22, yes.
that I decided. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even when they did the Paris, um, the World Championships in 2021, at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I didn't know if I was going to the Olympics yet.
Ah,
I
okay.
went, but I still wasn't sure. So it wasn't until a little bit before the World Games that I decided
Nice,
that I was
nice,
going to do
nice.
it.
So
Yeah.
you have Asian origins?
Hmm.
Well, where does your parents come from? Or are they also born in the
Uh,
USA or are they born in Asia?
they were born in Korea.
In
So they both
Korea.
came here, yeah, do their PhDs.
Ah, okay. So there was never a question for you to maybe enter with Team South Korea?
So even though I'm Korean, I don't speak Korean.
Okay.
And I grew up in America. I was born in the States. So
Okay. So it
uh
was clearly for you, you're an US girl.
yeah, I mean, I think both my parents actually have dual citizenship.
Okay.
It's possible, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in my heart, it's like I'm American. I'm Korean American,
Okay,
so
cool.
I couldn't jump over.
Cool, cool. So Team USA, I saw many countries have their own teams now, but every country is like a whole different level. Like when I see
Yeah.
the Japanese team, they sponsored from head to top. They look like killers. Like when I was young, when I used to look at fighting movies, and then you saw the Japanese, they were like really strict and tight and like real killers. So please talk about Team USA a little bit. How you like it? How is it structured? And did they help you a lot for your decision to compete for the Olympics?
They weren't involved at all when we were deciding to go to the Olympics,
Okay,
actually.
okay.
Uh, they didn't become involved until a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
The structure, well, so I don't know if you've noticed, but when we go to like World Championship events, Team USA just shows up whenever on our own. And we kind of meet at a table
You
and then
don't
we're Team USA.
you don't
So
travel
they
together?
don't, for World Series events, no. Or for actually most of the events, no. So like for the Pan Am Games, they paid for us.
Mm-hmm.
And for World Championships, actually World Championships, I even booked my own flight. So we didn't travel together. We normally just go on our own and they have been helping us more recently, or some of us with Airbnbs, but
Okay.
then there's some athletes sponsors, so they stay in their own hotels and have their own
Uh,
travel. So but I've had to pay for my flights. And so that's why you'll see actually we just like go and we meet each other there, but we don't go as a team because we actually don't have a ton of funding. And I think that's actually a
Okay.
misconception that a lot of people
Okay.
have about Team USA. So Team USA athletes, and this is across all sports, don't get funding from Team USA or very
Okay.
little. So we do have a little bit of financial support and I get health insurance through them. And then I have also access to like their expert staff. So like
Mm-hmm.
we work with their dietitian. I have my own strength coach, but I could work with their strength coach. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a couple of resources there, and then we get to use the facilities. Not that often actually, but we can use their facilities under some circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, in terms of like real financial support, we don't get a ton. And it's like that for all Team USA sports across the board.
Ah,
The
it's not only
money,
breaking.
yeah, it comes from corporate sponsorships for other sports.
Okay.
So like big sports like track and they have a bunch of sponsors, so they get money elsewhere. The problem is breaking, we don't have a ton of corporate sponsorships or like even
Mm-hmm.
with flag football in LA 28, like I heard that the NFL is supposed to be supporting them. So of course they're gonna have money and
Of
maybe the
course.
NFL is giving,
Mm-hmm.
not Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's like that for all sports. So it's not just breaking, but I think that's what makes sport actually quite challenging in America. But also
Mm-hmm.
I think that part of me feels like that fight is also why Americans, well, there's a lot of reasons why Americans do well, and it's not just that, but it's like you also have that like hunger because you're
Yes.
not handed these things.
Yeah, yeah.
We
You
are
have to
fighting
fight
for
for
them.
it. Yes, you have to fight for it, then
Yeah,
it tastes sweeter.
yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, again, like I know we are privileged in the States because we just have a higher standard of living, not the
Mm-hmm.
highest in the world, but like we're up
I know
there. It's
what you
not like
mean.
we're
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but yeah, that I think that fight is really kind of what helps us
Mm-hmm.
keep that drive
Mm-hmm.
because I'm fighting every step of the
Mm-hmm.
way. I'm paying for these flights.
Mm-hmm.
We're making this work.
Mm-hmm. So is there a maximum how many B girls and how many B boys can be in the Olympic team?
Well, on the Olympic team, it's just who qualifies for the Olympics.
Okay.
Team USA is obviously a bigger team, and that's like, the people who win nationals, and then you have some people who are like world ranked high enough. And so there are some different requirements that you have to meet in order to be on Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the team, well, if we were in LA 28, then the team would renew and then it would start again for the next Olympic
I
cycle.
see.
Since
Okay.
LA 28, obviously there won't be a Team USA anymore because
Mm-hmm.
I think we won't get any more funding from them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think the team, 2022, there was a team, and then 2023, the team got bigger. So I don't know if there's necessarily a cap, but there's also like additional requirements that you have to meet in order to actually get like the funding and the benefits from Team USA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's like different tiers of
Mm-hmm.
athletes.
Ah, I see. So then when we talk about the Olympics, like you said, 2021, you already competed in the first qualifiers, right? Then we had 2022 with the qualifiers, 2023 with the qualifiers. Do you know how many countries you visited and how many breaking for golds there have been or you participated?
I have no idea. I mean, I could count, but
Yeah.
off the top of my head, it feels like a million.
But it was like regularly every month, right?
Yeah, sometimes more than that.
Yeah.
And then I think you also have to be strategic about which ones you went to. And then those kinds of battles where you're doing like more than 15 rounds, it's a lot of strain on your body.
Oh my God.
And again,
Yeah.
I'm not super young either, so it's not like I bounce back like this. It takes a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of time.
And
There's risk of injury.
and for the people who only watch it on the internet, I got to host one of the Breaking for Golds in Marseille, the FISE one, where I met
Hmm.
you personally for the first time. And the people have to know it's not that you show up, you battle, you go home. You do the pre-selection, then you wait 6 hours.
Yeah.
Then you battle one time to be in the top 32. Then the first day is over. Then the second day
Mhm.
starts. You battle in the round robin where you battle once, then wait again half hour or 45 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
not only challenging moves wise because you need so many moves, but the
Yeah.
body, the head, everything counts on that. How you found a way to keep going. or to be motivated to still do it?
I mean, honestly, I went to events and some of them I wasn't motivated at all.
Mhm.
And actually, I bet if someone were to watch all my battles, you can see which ones where I just didn't care. And I
Okay.
just went in battles where I basically look like I'm just giving it up and I'm not trying. And it's because I was exhausted. But yeah, it was definitely challenging to stay motivated through all of the events. I think one of my strategies actually was to keep experimenting in the battles. So I never played it safe. Actually, you watch me crash a lot in
Nice.
the battles.
Yeah.
But the reason for me, it was a long game, right? So it's about not every single battle, but it's about the progress through the battles. Because if you treat every single battle like a final battle, then you're not going to grow in between the battles, right?
Yes,
Because all you're
yes,
doing is training for the battle. But the training phase for the battle doesn't allow you to create
yes.
and experiment and do more difficult moves. So I went to some of those events and I said, I'm not motivated. So today I'm going to try new stuff. And hopefully it turns out, and if not, I mean, there's another one next, so it's okay. And I think that was really helpful for me because if I was just running sets and doing the same thing from event to event, there's no way I would have made it. I would have been so bored. Because one of my big things is I just don't like running sets. I don't run sets. I
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
like little, but I freestyle everything in between.
Nice.
So that kept it interesting for me. There's also a level of risk that makes it more fun when you're trying something new.
Of course, of course. And if you get it, the reward is always bigger, right?
Yeah. It feels so good. So that was one of the ways that I was able to kind of mentally keep myself in the game to event when we were battling so many times. Every time it might not be a new move. It might be, all right, this time I'm gonna go and not even plan my combos, just complete freestyle today.
Yeah, and then you see
So
what comes out.
yeah, from event to event, I was changing my mental for the events and also, experimenting different things. What food works for me on those battle days? How do I feel? So everything, every event is like an experiment for me to see how do I perform the best. On the day of the event though, I mean it's grueling, but I think I've been working on my mental for a long time, so it's really about keeping your head in the game and staying focused and not being distracted by everything else going on and what other people might doing. Like I'm not watching them. I also don't allow myself to be influenced by other people's energy or as much as I can. So when you show up to an event and it's like the warm up and either it's a warm up where nobody's gonna go into the cipher or it's a warm up where everyone's hard.
Either you
I
have,
don't allow myself to be phased.
either you have too
I
much
go in
space or no space.
exactly. It's like everyone's showing off their moves or everyone's scared to show their moves. You don't know which cipher you're gonna walk into. But it's one,
Shit.
so it's like you go in, but I'm like, I have a plan and I stick to it no matter what.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
care what
good. That's good.
and so
That's
I
good.
think like stuff like that helps me also to get through the battles.
So in the summer, the first we had so many qualifiers over the last years, but in summer with the African Championship, the first real like big one started with El
Yeah.
Mamuni taking the W for the big girls. So then we saw Nika getting it, we saw India getting it. You were the second to last to get it because the last one was Rico for Japan now in the Asian Games. And when you won yours,
I think 671 took it for the Asian Games.
okay, my research is not really
Rico
good today.
won. Rico won the World Series event that happened in Hong Kong.
Ah, the one in Hong Kong. Yes. She won that one. My God, Breaking for Gold, please, you have too much events. Too much events. And before we start recording, we found out that there was two Pan Am games, and I watched the wrong one for my research. So in May, you battled Luma in the final for the Pan Game Championships, right?
Pan Am Championships, right?
Yes. So there you won the first round. The second one, Luma won. And the third one was decided by only one vote. You lost 5 against 4 votes. So after you lost that battle, first of all, did you think you really lost that battle? And second of all, did you still believe, hey, doesn't matter if I lost that one, I still have my chance and I can qualify for the Olympics?
Uh, for sure on the second part, I knew that I could still qualify, and I
Okay.
knew I still had enough for sure
Mm-hmm.
because I got second at least.
Mm-hmm.
Did I think I won the battle? Honestly, yes. But it was close. I can see why it went the other way, and the thing
Okay.
is, you can't feel it, but the energy in the room was very, honestly, it felt like very anti-USA
Okay.
for us. It was like everybody was like cheering on her side, and then we had our Team USA on our side,
And
and
then when
that's
you
it.
battled,
So it was like,
everybody cheered on that side. Yeah.
yeah, everybody was on the other side, and so the energy was definitely for her,
Okay. Okay.
and you felt the hype, and so that was definitely challenging. It's always challenging to battle
Mm-hmm.
in a room where everybody's against you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also like, I don't know. It's hard because I didn't watch her other battles that day. So
Ah,
I
okay.
can't say through the battles if she was repeating, if she was doing new things, if because I wasn't watching her.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's kind of changed, and now even in during the battles, like I'm trying to pay attention to what other people are
I
doing.
see. Yes, I
But at
see.
the time, I wasn't sure, and I haven't gone back to
Mm-hmm.
watch, so I actually
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know myself, and I mean, there's a reason why I crashed in the finals because I was trying something new again, as
Yeah.
usual.
In the
And
second round, you crashed. I remember that. But you
yeah,
got your rematch around 5 months later, and
yeah,
then you met again, but for the Pan Am Games, only games, no
yeah,
championships, right? And there you
yep.
met Luma again in the final, but this time you smoked her, and
It
you
was a very different energy for
and
sure.
you officially qualified for the Olympics. How was that day for you? Did you knew at the beginning of the day when you woke up, oh, today's my day, I will qualify today?
Um, no, it wasn't like that. The energy was not like I know I'm going to win. It was more like I know I can win.
Okay.
I know I have the capacity to win. I
Hmm.
feel great. I'm confident mentally. Um, honestly, I had some injuries still. I still have
Okay.
some injuries. I was working through injury, but I knew even with that, I am capable of doing this.
Hmm.
So I needed myself. So that day was really about trusting myself and then actually just having fun.
Hmm.
So I freestyled a lot in the battles. I had a lot of fun. Even in some of the battles, I was still experimenting that day. But yeah, I just went in. It wasn't confidence that I was going to win, but confidence that I could win.
Hmm. Hmm. And who was your
Yeah.
strongest opponent that day? Or what was your hardest battle for you to win? Was it the final?
I mean, probably the final, but actually that day I won most of my battles with like 8 or 9 votes
Oh, cool.
each round.
That's a statement.
Uh, so yeah, I don't know how it happened, but I like got through most of the battles pretty clear.
Hmm. Hmm.
The final battle against Luma, I took all 3 rounds.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
think she only got that.
Hmm. Hmm. Nice, very nice. So after you saw the results and you qualified for the Olympics, how did you feel? Did you immediately call your mother, or what was your immediate reaction?
My immediate reaction was relief
Yeah,
because it's like it was so much stress leading up to
yeah,
that event.
yeah.
It wasn't just like stress of like, oh, this is my lifelong dream and I have to get it, but it was
Hmm.
also stress of everyone. I think I felt like a lot of people expected me to win,
Okay,
expected me to be at the Olympics and represent the US.
okay.
I'm also coming from New York, and there's no other breaker in this circuit that's living in New York City now. And so
No
there's also that,
pressure, no pressure.
yeah, there's like the legacy there that I'm
Mm,
carrying. And so
yeah.
I felt like it's a lot of pressure going in, and I, so the relief was just like, "Ah, I did it, and it wasn't even like excitement or anything. It was just relief. Like
Okay, I see.
I tried
Hmm.
so hard to not let them affect me, but they did,
Hmm.
to be honest. So,
Hmm.
relief. And then actually my second reaction was, I'm gonna duck down because I hate being lifted up. And I know some people are gonna come running on stage. So I actually dropped to my knees and I ducked my head down so that they couldn't lift me up. And so people just ended up coming on stage and then like hugging me while I was sitting on the floor.
You're lucky they didn't make a pile on out of you. Everybody just,
Yeah, it's so funny if you watch because I just like I win and then I just squat down and make a little ball. And it's because I just didn't want people to like, you know.
And when did it really hit? Hey, I will be at the Olympics and I will be breaking there for the gold medal.
I feel like it was a lot of little moments afterward. So it's like when I was watching the closing ceremonies of the Pan Am Games and actually watching, they were just folding the flag, actually. And it wasn't even the American flag, it was a different flag, but they were folding a flag. And it was that moment where I was like, shit, I'm going to be representing the US, like the entire country at the Olympics. So I had this moment where basically, you know, there's like hundreds of people around. I was like, I'm trying not to cry right now as they're folding a flag.
Some random
Like not
flag. Yeah.
even a meaningful moment. Or I mean, like it was a moment of reverence. And I think that was kind of what brought it out was like that reverence and that pride in your country. And just even something that represents it like a piece of cloth. And I was like, that made me feel proud. Like I get to do that. And so, you know,
Nice.
that was one of the moments I remember where I was like, oh, this is happening. But yeah, it's just been like little moments along the way where you know, sometimes I was driving and I'm like, this is happening, you know, or
Nice.
like there was one day I was driving across the, you know, one of the bridges here and there's a really nice view of New York City. And so, you know, sometimes I do that. And there's one day I was just like listening to a nice song and I saw the city and I was like, I get to represent for this beautiful city at the Olympics. You know,
Nice.
so it's like all these little moments
Nice.
where I'm just like, it hits me for a
Nice.
second and it goes away.
Well, definitely congrats from our side, and you for sure deserved
Yeah.
it. And we wish you all the best for your participation there at the Olympics. So after you got the win, I guess your social media exploded, your email exploded. You just told us before you're now sponsored. Who you sponsored now by?
I just signed with Nike actually a little before World Championships actually. Another one hasn't been announced yet, so
Okay, so we will.
people will figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, I am US 8.5 in shoes. Okay, we continue with the podcast.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So what's now you have like 6 more months, right, to prepare. You have a plan, you have a strict schedule. How does your next 6 months look like for you?
I mean, even the next, I believe it's actually 7 months because we have what most of July,
Yes,
but
yes.
uh, actually we should probably not count July, so 6. It's kind of still, so I was obviously experimenting a lot over the last year and a half or so. And I mean, through my whole breaking career, actually, I'm pretty analytical, and I think you can even kind of see it in the way that I break, that I'm quite methodical. I've always been experimenting with things. And I've been just kind of collecting data over time to see what works. So basically putting all that together and preparing. So like I see my strength and conditioning coach and she has a big picture plan of how we're going to ramp up and be in peak shape before the Olympics. And, you know, obviously the old school way of thinking about breaking is you have to train hard every single day, all the time. But it's like, that's not the way it works for a high level athlete because your body breaks. So, you know, there's phases where you're not training very hard and then phases where you are training hard, but making sure that there's some sort of like wave, right? So that your body has some rest. So I kind of trust her to plan that part out for me
Yes,
in
yes,
terms of
I
my
see.
in terms of my breaking, I kind of took the next 6 months and broke it down into chunks.
Okay.
And then it's like push and then a little bit of rest, push and a little bit of rest, push and a little bit of rest. And then even from practice to practice, like roughly scheduling out what I'm focusing on. I'm still not going to go to practice and tell myself, okay, I need to do 10 of this combo, 10 of this combo. I need
Okay.
to run my round. I've never been that person. If you actually watch me practice, it makes no sense because I just go and do what I want. There's like a kind of big picture in the back of my head of like roughly the goal of the practice, but you know, I don't go and practice the same combo over and over and over again. Usually, I'm just one of those that like I kind of go by feel. So, there'll be a little bit more structure, especially there will be days where I'm not motivated. So then
Yes,
that
of
goal will
course.
help me
You're just human.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think is your biggest weakness you have to work on till the Olympics?
Um, the way I'm seeing is work on some of the weaknesses, make the strength stronger.
Okay.
But so it's just leveling up everything because
Okay.
every strength also has a
Yes.
weakness, you know. Um, I think, of course, that there are areas, but I really kind of want to work on a little bit of everything, which sounds silly because most people are like, you should focus, but it's like, because I actually think I'm relatively well-rounded, sure, my top row could be better, but relatively well-rounded. It's like and because I actually love all the aspects of breaking. There's no one thing that I'm like, this is why I like breaking. It's not just footwork. It's not just creativity. It's not just style. It's a little bit of everything. So it's like, well, I want to be the best me, and to be the best me, I need to do everything that I love, and that means everything.
Yes, I
So
see.
that's gonna be what I do.
Right, right. So you got any information for the Olympics, like a dress code, timetables, any information?
I think I don't think there's a complete breakdown of the day yet, but I've, heard some things, but to be honest, like I'm not really focused on that right now.
Okay,
Dress
okay.
code, I know there are some regulations around that, so I do have some information on that. But again, I
So you
think I don't
can't
know.
wear what you want? Like you
Um, there's just some regulations around like logo sizes and stuff like that. So it was
um
the same at the Pan Am Games because there's rules around like there's official Olympic sponsors, and if you wear a
yes, yes,
logo
yes.
outside of that, size, different placements, things like that in terms of graphics. So
I see. Okay, okay.
I'm just
I
gonna let other people tell me.
I hope because I hope you won't wear all spandex like in the 80s, you know. Let's have a break dance party. You know.
Why not? I think it'd be a good look. Taking it back.
I mean, all the backspins will be on point that day. So yeah. Nice, nice, nice. Then we would for the end, for the last topic we have, it's called your fave five, where we talk about your favorite five things. Doesn't have to be five, it can be six, it can only be two, but we want like five. Okay. So we always start with the B-boys. Can you tell us your favorite five B-boys? All time, doesn't matter.
Of all time. This is really hard when I don't watch a lot of footage. So I'm just gonna name local
Do
people.
it. This is your list, Sunny.
Number one currently is my boyfriend. He's sitting next to me, so I'm gonna give you this answer.
Greetings to your fiance, to your boyfriend. Sorry.
Um, but more his personality, but his breaking is good. It's pretty
Cool.
good.
Cool.
He's laughing, you can't hear it. Two, gosh, this is so hard actually, because I don't really watch a ton of breaking. And
Maybe some B-boys who inspire you then.
this is the thing, I don't watch a lot of breaking. B-boys that I mean, there are people who I think are just dope in general. Shigekix is a machine.
Yes.
I would Look, I'm not gonna do this in any order now. This is
No,
just
no,
random people that come.
it's not about who is the best B-boy. Tell me who is the best. It's
Oh,
just your taste, so the people get to know you more, you know?
yeah, Shigekix because he's a like literally a machine. It's
Yes.
incredible what
Good.
he does with.
Stamina for
Yeah,
days.
it's crazy. And the way he hits power,
Mhm.
hits the music with power is also
Yes, yes.
incredible.
It's the next level.
Um, Victor, conceptually so interesting. Um, he's not obvious though, kind of no brainer, but um, somebody, let's see, I'm gonna throw back to my early days. Somebody
Mhm.
I looked up to. So Metal, he's a
Mhm.
b-boy in reptiles. Um, I liked his energy while he was breaking. He was actually one of the few breakers who used to smile while he was breaking,
Oh,
which maybe
there's not many
I
of them out there.
Yeah, there's not that many. And he would do silly things like he had this one move he told us about where he's like basically was like I feel like I'm a child playing in this sandbox. Like he just like sits on the floor and slaps it. And like
But this is,
goofy
but this
things
is,
like
but this
that.
is breaking, right? This is breaking. These little things, this character thing. You don't have to always have the best move. If it's original and entertaining, this is breaking, you know?
Yeah. So I really appreciated that he was just like doing his own thing and didn't care what other people thought. And he also had a kind of very unique way of moving. He's very like looked like he was very stiff and
Mm-hmm.
he's very tall and lanky. So it just made him stand out.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he was dope. Somebody who I always thought was nasty out in Philly was this people named Uki.
Okay, yes.
Um, who yeah, I think not a lot of people know him, and I think he wasn't
He
like the best at battling, but he's
he's
nasty.
he's also have Asian origins, right?
He's Korean actually. Yeah.
Hey, I watched his battle 10, 15 years ago. And he
Yeah.
already then he was next level because he mixed power with footwork, with freezes. We had
Yep.
everything. He had
Yep. Yep.
everything.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And actually, I think a lot of the way I think about breaking comes from him. We used to
Nice,
practice a lot together.
nice, nice.
And so
Always big
the way
fan of him.
he puts everything together, and it just made so much sense. Like it just the breaking was beautiful and
Mm-hmm,
musical. It
mm-hmm,
was so interesting.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
he's probably one of my
He
favorites.
makes it also look so easy, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
when I watch him, he doesn't look like the most athletic guy, you know,
Mhm.
but he's so smooth with it and it looks so
Yeah.
easy. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do this combo, flow into
Yeah.
footwork and stop on the beat with the nice freeze, look at you and stand up like there is nothing. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
nice choice. I like this choice.
Okay. I think I gave you 5. That was hard.
Yes. So let's continue with the big girls. You already mentioned a lot in the beginning, right? Like Narumi and who else you mentioned in the beginning? Like you had USB girls, right?
Oh, so the Bgirl I looked up to when I started was Rhea. And
Yes.
then I think I named Narumi,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Movie One,
Mm-hmm.
Taya.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there? Other B-girls I used to watch. There was
You
another B-girl who had a Flare 90 from back in the day. And I forgot her name.
they're
But
90.
it was the first time I ever saw a B-girl do that from way back.
No, I mean still now just a handful of big girls do that, I think.
Exactly. But I
Mm.
remember watching her and be like, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you
that's already
do,
6.
do you know Dora?
Oh yeah, well, so I'm more familiar with her now because she's judging and I'm watching her
She's a
footage and she's
fucking legend. She's a legend. When I started
yeah,
breaking, I started breaking in 2000, and she's from Hungary, right? And she already was breaking there, and there was a jam in 2001. And you know how it, of course, you don't know how it was back then because you didn't dance. But there was only 3 ciphers. There was no competition, nothing. And she smoked so many b-boys. Oh my God. She did a head spin like this, and then the same
yeah, yeah,
direction with this. And then she also did a reverse, and she did windmill and head spin for days. So and the most important thing, she has the best heart. This woman, oh my God. Oh my God. She's just the queen. She's just the queen.
yeah, yeah. I got the basically I got the honor of meeting her this year and like kind
Nice.
of getting to know who she is and watching her footage. And like,
Nice.
she's amazing
She's a
and
freaking
just a
legend.
real person.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and that's one of the great things about what we're doing now is you get to meet new people,
Best
and so
is
that's
the
been
best. Is the best. So fave 5 memories, your fave 5 best moments in battles that you battled. I don't know
uh
if this was grammatically correct how I pronounced it, but I hope you get what I mean.
I think number one moment actually was Rebel BC1 LA Cypher. I
Oh.
won the US qualifier, but it wasn't the event. It was my mom was there.
Ah,
And
okay.
for the first breaking
Yes.
and I won. She
Nice.
ran up on the stage. I took pictures with her.
That's my
It was my
guy.
brother, my mom, and my aunt.
Nice.
And she told me afterwards she loves breaking, and that
Oh.
like this was so important for me because my mom never, my whole life it's always like, yeah, you know, she was proud, but she wouldn't really let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always more I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But like in that moment, I could see she was proud of me, who I'd
Nice.
become.
Nice.
I think a little hesitant when I told her I was quitting my job to do this.
Oh
So when
yeah.
she finally got to see it, she was like, okay, this is cool. So
Okay.
that meant a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. Thing number two, probably actually would be winning Outbreak Europe
Ah,
because
nice.
since 2015, I wasn't even going to enter. And I remember Pauline, Bgirl Pauline from the
Mm-hmm.
Netherlands or Germany. She
Oh,
was there and she
Pauline.
was like,
Pauline. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. She was like, you should enter, and we were friends. And I
She's
was
the
just like,
best. She's the best.
she's a heart of gold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
100%.
I won that year. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a big surprise. First international win. And I think
Nice.
that's the moment where I was like, maybe I'm not terrible at this. Maybe I could try to
And
maybe.
Outbreak always has a good level, like a real dope and high level.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just experiencing that event, also it was a dope jam. So
Mm-hmm.
being there, fully immersed in this whole culture for a few days, and that was just a really good experience overall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pan Am Games is now up there because obviously that got me my spot to the Olympics. So yeah, I know that's the obvious one. Uh,
I thought you will forget
another
about it.
another moment, and it's like I'm not the biggest fan of Red Bull, but
Okay.
it happens to be a World Finals in New York. And being on the stage representing for New York City at the World Finals. I had to qualify because they didn't invite me that year.
Okay.
So I did the US side, then I did Last Chance, and then I made it to World Stage.
Nice.
And the being at the World Finals actually, so in the theater, the New Yorkers all started chanting my name. And being that I moved to New York. So I moved to New York in what, 2012. So it's been about 12 years. But at the
Mm-hmm.
time, it's like I really felt like a New Yorker because I still felt like but I moved here. This isn't my home. It feels like home, but I don't know how other people see me.
Mm-hmm.
And that day I was like, I am a New Yorker today. Like officially I'm a New
Nice.
Yorker, and
That's
I
nice.
don't have any like imposter syndrome, and so it's like hearing my name chanted like that in a place like I've never experienced that before. And I don't know if I ever will
Mhm.
again, but it was just such an incredible feeling.
I will,
And
if
so
I see you battling live, I will scream your name. No, no, no worries about that. Yes.
if you can do if you can get the whole stadium to chant my name, I would
I
appreciate it
mean,
actually.
I mean, if I'm the host, I will do it for sure, but
Uh,
nice.
and then actually I think my last really dope memory would probably be the World Games in
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually at that time I knew, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to go for the Olympics. And the World Games were in Birmingham, Alabama. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just like, it wasn't a hip hop audience. It was just like normal people, but the energy was so amazing that day.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was going crazy. It was completely packed, and like people, they sold out of tickets, so people were watching from like kind of dangerous places. Like they had climbed up to be able to watch from like the rafters, and people were standing on this like concrete wall, and like it was just so crazy to experience just regular people watching breaking and really loving it.
Yes.
And felt amazing that we could share with people who knew nothing about
Mm-hmm.
breaking, and they could
Mm-hmm.
appreciate something about what we're doing.
Mm.
And
I think
uh
regular people are more honest when they watch it. You know what I mean? Because when you see b-boys and b-girls, sometimes they just cheer. So everybody said, hey, they cheered for you. You know what I mean? Just to still have the good relation
yeah,
between
yeah, yeah,
another, But the normal audience, they don't care about it. They will never see you again. So if they're happy to see you, they're really happy to see you,
yeah, yeah. And I think, then it was like finally we're going to the Olympics, we're doing this, and then to be validated and have such a crazy
Yeah.
experience
Mm-hmm.
was um That was a really tough event though. But
Mhm.
just being on the stage with the people watching that day, and it was also one of the first events that was produced like that with such a big audience outside of,
Ah,
it was a little different from the breaking events we've been to, right?
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
like that was a pretty cool experience being there.
Hmm.
And then also, home team advantage or home country advantage. They were cheering for
Hmm.
the Americans most. Also felt good because
Yes, yes,
easier
yes.
for me.
Yes, yes. And your favorite 5 DJs?
Uh, so Flag is one of them for sure. Because he's been killing it for a long time.
Hmm.
And also he's kind of in the circuit, but I feel like in the Olympic circuit, still trying to play music that is interesting and not super fast, or kind of give us some variety.
Yeah.
And also notice trying to incorporate some more like hip hop and rap into it, which is dope because kind of
That,
getting back into the roots and introducing
yes,
that back
exactly.
onto um historically, some of the other DJs that I really like listening to are Scream, Smirnoff.
Ah, nice.
I also listen to Legionnaire mixes.
Mm-hmm.
So those are three dope DJs. I believe what they're all Russian actually,
Mm-hmm.
and so Scream used to live in Ukraine.
Yes, yes.
And then who else is funny that they're all the same from the same country other than Flag? Oh, Scheme. So
Yes.
back in the day, he used to play really funky music, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I actually started breaking to was all straight funk.
Nice.
And obviously I actually got a little tired of it over time, and now I don't listen to funk, I just listen to rap, but that's okay. He was still a really dope DJ at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
actually I've heard him spin some other jams more recently, and the music has changed. It's gotten a little bit darker, but it's like the type of music I like listening to.
Yeah.
So
I guess he also got a little bit more darker with his comments on social media and everything. I don't know too much
oh,
about
I'm
it.
following there.
I just
So
I just heard from other people, but this is not the topic we're talking about today.
just
And to
music.
yes, exactly. And to finish it up, your favorite 5 events that you attended, not only as a competitor, maybe also just as a visitor, it was dope, you know?
Outbreak Europe is definitely one of them for
Hmm.
sure. Mm, I want to say IBE is one, but IBE is just such a different experience. It's more about going and watching. Like one of my favorite moments was watching the experimental battle. So it's like at the house dancer and the breaker
Hmm.
battling together, but it's like the legends. So of course you get to watch amazing dancing. So it's like stuff like that that I really enjoyed at IBE.
Hmm.
Very different because it's not like I go to dance, but it's really just going to be inspired.
Hmm.
Um, Going to Battle of the Year was epic because
Hmm.
it's Battle of the Year. Um, Not like the best jam in the world, but just knowing the legacy that it holds and being able to be there for once
Hmm.
was really cool. Um, Man, I honestly like some of my favorite jams though are just like the local jams in a dark venue with really dope music that the copyright free music, so
Hmm.
you can listen to
Oh
whatever.
my God. We can do another
Those
podcast just about talking about the music that is played at events.
But like it's like I can't name any one, but those are really the
Hmm.
jams that I love
Hmm.
most. Like obviously there's a few memorable ones that are different, but my
Hmm.
favorite jams are those
Hmm.
local jams
I mean,
and just getting down.
these are the most important in your development, right? Because this is where you come from. This is where you learn how you can be yourself. Who are you even, you know? So definitely local jams are very important. So, and then to finish off everything, because I already got you longer than I planned with you, but I'm happy for that. Your prediction for the Olympics, of course, you think you will win. But if you don't win it, who will win on the B-girl side and who will win on the B-boy side? What is your prediction?
So hard because we don't even know everyone who's qualified.
Of course,
But
of course.
you know what? I don't think it's fair to guess today because
Okay.
in 8 months, so much, or 7 months,
Will
so much
change
can
change a lot. Yes, yes, yes.
consistently, even through the World Series events, people are like going up and then completely tanking. And some people are riding
Yes,
a
yes,
wave,
yes.
you ride a wave, and then if you don't catch it and you don't keep it, it's a
Mm-hmm.
different skill set to get up there than it
Mm-hmm.
is to stay there.
Yeah, yeah. It's always
So
easier to get up than to stay, right?
exactly. So I actually really truly don't know because
Okay.
I think there's so many factors.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there's some that are like a little bit more obvious, like Victor has been doing this for so long and winning, so
And
he's
Phil
and Phil
also,
is
yeah.
Shigekis is usually there
Yeah,
somewhere, at
yeah.
least in so it's
My
like
one
there's
of
some
my one of my personal favorites is also Danny
oh
Dan
yeah,
from
he's
Friends.
so and you remember his battle against Jeffro in Brazil?
Oh,
The
it's
energy
just beautiful. Just a beautiful
I think
exchange.
that's about life
Yeah,
ever. I
yeah.
think really one of the best exchanges I've seen in person, at least.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's just like everybody brings something so different, and then the day of the event, you never know what's gonna happen. There's
Yes,
so many factors, so
yes,
it's so I can't. I could tell you a few favorites, but at the end of the day, like
yes,
you
yes,
never.
yes. Well, thank you very much, Sunny. Yeah, it was a real pleasure to get to know you, talk about your path to the Olympics. You have any last words and shout outs?
Just gonna leave it at that.
Okay. And, thank you so much. Of course, for all the viewers and listeners, if you like it, don't forget to subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Get me to 1,000 so I can monetize these videos. Comment what you want to see next. Give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Turn on notifications. Then you'll see all the new stuff we create always here on Godfather TV. And if you want to show full support, you go to Patreon. You can support us monthly with a little amount of money. Yeah, give us all the money you have. And Sunny will give me shoes from Nike. She already said, okay, that's also good. And no, I'm just joking. Now, and yeah, be on the lookout. We have a lot of more content coming for the Olympics, especially. And again, thank you, Sunny, for taking your time. I really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best and lots of health and lots of strength for the Olympics in 2024. Thank you again. And that was your favorite Bieber host with your favorite Bieber show. Peace.